Let's take a roll call first, huh? Okay. Roll call. Everybody's here except for Ms. Neal? All right. Ms. Nala, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Sure.
Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, in closed session, the board discussed student discipline cases, personnel matters, and negotiations were discussed, but no action was taken. And first thing here is a spotlight with Mr. Khan about Healthier U.S. School Challenge.
Thank you, Vice President Maxted, Dr. Washer, members of the board. I'd like to thank Nancy Rostamelli, our Director of Nutrition Services, for applying for the Healthier U.S. School Challenge. This is a certification that takes into account many things, among which are things such as participation at breakfast, lunch, and then introduction of fresh fruits and vegetables to our students. Joining Ms. Rostamelli tonight is Elizabeth Moreno, Nutrition Education Consultant with the California Department of Ed. And Ms. Moreno will speak and present a plaque to Dr. Washer and Melissa Davey on the award that Nancy Rostamelli in Food Services has just earned us. I'd like to thank Ms. Rostamelli for showing up in spite of being here.
Thank you, Dr. Washer, members of the board. Pardon my voice, like you said, I've been trying to battle this bronchitis. I think everyone's had and kind of going around, but I'll do my best, and then I'm going to let Elizabeth do most of the talking. But we applied for the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, Smarter Lunchrooms Initiative, starting in the school year 15-16. It's been a 2-year process for us for this application. And as Mr. Khan said, this application and initiative recognizes healthier school environments that include nutrition, physical education, as well as physical activities, nutrition education, and changing to healthier choices in the lunchrooms. So for Lodi, we applied and got awarded for 41 schools in the district. So I'm pretty excited to say that we have 10 silver awards, and the schools are listed at the top. And we have 31 bronze awards for our school sites. And I really want to take a moment to thank the administrators at each of these school sites. We had to work with the PE teachers, the teachers. We brought in some new assemblies, had lots and lots and lots of questions since it was a government application that we had to fill out and go through. So I really want to thank them, and a special shout out to Melissa Davies. I'm not sure if she's here tonight. If she is, I'd love for her to come forward. She is our nutritionist in our department, along with Susan Henderson. And Melissa was really the one that spearheaded this application and pursued it for 2 years with the USDA. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth to kind of explain and go forward. And while Elizabeth's talking, there's a couple slides that I've just included that will loop, that were part of our application process, so you can kind of see some of the events that took place at the different school sites.
Okay, thank you so very much, Nancy. It's wonderful to be here, so I appreciate this time and special spotlight for Lodi Unified School District. As Nancy mentioned, I'm Elizabeth Marino. I'm a nutrition education consultant with the Department of Education in Sacramento. And I'm really excited that Lodi was able to fulfill this very long process and have so many schools in a district this size to actually meet these award milestones here. I first wanted to mention that our state superintendent of public instruction, Tom Torlakson, loves to come to these events. He's usually the main representative from the Department of Education. He loves to see the local schools and all that they've accomplished. So he is very sad that he was unable to make it here tonight, as was Jesus Mendoza, who is the regional administrator for the USDA Food and Nutrition Services, actually in the western region of in San Francisco. So they both send their heartfelt congratulations to Lodi Unified School District. So I just want to thank the Board of Education members, some of the students that are here, and just really wonderful to actually have some ability to showcase what's been done in the Lodi Unified School District. This is really a prestigious award, and this district, with so many schools, nationally we have about 3,000 schools who receive this award, either at bronze, silver, gold, or gold awarded distinction levels. So in California we have about 1,200 schools that have received an award. So for Lodi to be 41 of those, and to really be in the top 12% of the state is really an A+ in practically every way you want to look at it or calculate it. So we're just really thrilled for that. USDA began this and kind of developed this challenge award back in 2004. They really wanted to recognize schools and school districts that go above and beyond. As Nancy knows, being the director of food service, there's so much to do related to running National School Lunch, Breakfast Program, and other child nutrition programs. And they oftentimes just go way beyond what's the required regulation types of things. And so it really was to promote those schools that really promote healthy eating, physical activity, as well as nutrition education. And so our department is just absolutely thrilled. Our staff actually review these applications, and I was fortunate enough to work with Nancy and her staff in this whole process. So it was really exciting to see what was going on here. I just wanted to highlight two kind of areas of excellence that are really amazing. I don't know if there's a way to show some of these photos, Nancy, if you want to let me know how to do that. Okay. But one of the areas of excellence that really was part of this award was the work that Nancy and her staff do related to nutrition education. Nutrition education is not a required part of schools, and so to include that and to recognize the connection with nutrition and academic excellence, it's so vital and so very important. So you can see in some of these pictures just some of the amazing work they've done with nutrition education, whether it be farmers markets that are held on school campuses, their Harvest of the Month activities, a wide variety of things like the mobile dairy classroom that they have a connection with in terms of the California Dairy Council, the ag venture that's part of what third graders do in this district was fabulous to expose them to local foods and agriculture, and just a lot of the community events that they, I think, have present at that really just put a great name on what the Lodi Unified School District does. The other second thing I just wanted to highlight is really their cafeteria offerings. Nancy is amazing and all the things that she's been able to work into the district, but this district provides universal free breakfast to every child to start out the day with some healthy foods to keep the mind going and actually be able to focus. Their salad bars are just gorgeous. I've been to several schools and seen many of their salad bar offerings. Fresh fruits and vegetables are available at every meal. And their techniques for kind of smarter lunchrooms, which is really some research that has been done around how does a school serving food to children in a cafeteria kind of merchandise that food to be something that's comparable to what they might have in terms of other restaurants outside of the school campus. And so she's engaged in a lot of those types of techniques that really make a difference and have children try things they may not have been able to or have been exposed to. Also, their ability to do scratch cooking and to create a lot of menu items that are not just the heat and serve kind of thing, so it's really more of a home style kind of meal. And really wanted to highlight the California Thursdays that Nancy has been part of as well. And this is an initiative throughout the state that really focuses on providing local foods that are produced in the immediate area here actually around and in Lodi. And so those items get they're part of the menu, whether it be for lunch or breakfast, I think sometimes too. It's fruits and vegetables, it's maybe meat as well as rice and other things. So just phenomenal to be part of that program. And really, I think the Lodi Unified School District certainly would be considered the largest and best restaurant around. So we're really excited just for what she's accomplished with all of that. I was actually able to see a California Thursdays event at Tokay High School a couple of years ago, and it was delicious and amazing, so it was really a treat. So I just want to commend the Lodi Unified School District on this fabulous accomplishment. So I think I'll just go ahead and actually present. We do have some plaques here today. Typically, every school, each one of the 41 schools would receive a plaque, and they will receive a plaque. USD just doesn't have those signatures all signed as of yet. But each school also will receive a banner, which we put in the way back wall there to show the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, whether it be bronze or silver award. Those can be displayed in front of the school or in the school cafeteria, wherever the school would like to have that displayed. And there's also a monetary award that goes with each of these particular awards for the schools. So it's a very, very nice, I think, compliment to all the work that Nancy and her staff had done. So the first plaque I wanted to present would be to Dr. Kathy Washer, the superintendent, as well as Nancy. We'll have it over here. It's really meant to recognize collectively the 41 schools, since we don't have individual plaques tonight. But I just really hope that you'll find a special place to put it up and really treasure it, because it's really a wonderful accomplishment. So thank you, Dr. Washer, and congratulations. I just have a shout out to Nancy, because I have known her since she's been the food service director here in Lodi Unified. And she just wears so many hats and wears them so well. It is just an amazing feat to be a food service director. She has a master's degree in business administration. She's a school nutrition specialist and has that credential. And she's also a former chef. So she's got these perfect talents and skills that just bring, and she's just brought all of those to the table for creating such an amazing food service program here in Lodi. So I just wanted to do a special congratulations to Nancy and all of her staff who work so hard. I am not sure, the last plaque I had here is just a special appreciation for, as Nancy mentioned, Melissa Davy Allen was the key person in terms of the nuts and bolts to put the application together, and it was hundreds of pages, probably a 3-inch binder of information that had to be coordinated with all of these 41 schools, different physical activity requirements, and just all kinds of things. So I can't thank her enough, and I certainly wanted to make sure, I'm sure Nancy will make sure that she receives this special plaque as well, showing our appreciation and recognition of her efforts. So thank you again for allowing me to come to your Board of Education meeting, and congratulations to the Food Service Department for this wonderful award.
Yes, Nancy. Congratulations to you and your staff. This is such an important thing in the schools, the nutrition part of it, because if you don't have anything in your system, something's wrong up here. Secondly, I am Commissioner of Parks and Recreation in the city of Stockton, and I understand you're expanding to the city of Stockton and the community centers there, which is a great thing for Lodi Unified, and I want to congratulate you again for the job well done. Thank you.
Don't worry, Nancy. We have lots of things to say.
Oh, okay.
We get to embarrass you. Go ahead, Mr. Freitas.
Yeah, too late.
Oh,
I don't know what color shade of red it is.
We challenged you years ago for just more fruit and vegetables and fresher service, and not only did you do that, you did so much more. This is an amazing accomplishment. We are very proud of you and the district for doing this, and Dr. Washer should be very proud of this accomplishment also. Thank you for taking good care of our students and feeding them so well.
Thank you. Takes good staff.
Yes.
I wanted to also offer my congratulations to you also. There's a lot of events that food service shows up to. I go to the Ag Fair every year, and I really enjoy watching the kids get the connection to where their food comes from, and then the variety of foods. And I love that one picture that says, learn to eat, eat to learn. And I think your efforts really exemplify that. So thank you for all your work. Appreciate it, and your staff.
One of my favorite things way back many, many decades ago were sticky buns. So I'm sure you probably are not doing that anymore. But that was the best thing that they had. So it's a good thing that we've moved on to a little healthier diets. Thank you.
We still do cinnamon rolls.
Oh, no kidding.
They're tofu, right?
They're whole grain. They are whole grain.
Nancy, my memory is fish treasures. I'm glad we have so many students in our audience tonight that have been the beneficiaries. The first time I saw this was at one of our silver schools. I see Victor Victor Elementary School, where all the little second and third graders were eating broccoli. I couldn't believe it. Like, wow, this is creating these lifelong healthy eaters. So thank you so much, Nancy. We benefit so much from all that you've done, and so will all of these generations of children. So thank you.
Nancy.
Mr. Vice President.
I echo all of these colleagues for the wonderful job you do here, and please continue. Thank you so much.
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, Dr. Washer. Just very quickly from a student perspective, I see more of the administrative side of our school as president, and let me tell you, it's not easy. So let me just commend you one more time for the excellent work that you're doing, especially in a society and an environment in which health has declined significantly within the nation as a whole, but your commitment to excellence and your commitment to nutrition has really helped. As you can see, 41 schools. Just another round of applause, please. She's done a fantastic job.
Mr. Knackstead, board members, just in case you're worried, we do not let Nancy participate in our Cupcake Wars competition.
Okay, public comment, a 20-minute time. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, superintendent's report. No, let's go ahead and do yours.
Thank you, Mr. Knackstead, for support of the board. I'll keep it quick. A couple pictures for you. This has been reading week and reading time. So here are some teachers from Heritage Elementary School helping their children enjoy and celebrate reading. First grade classroom. It is not too late. If you would like to go read to a classroom, please let us know. I have lots of books for you that you can take. So just give us a call and we'll get you scheduled. Our teachers have gone above and beyond to help create an environment where children love to read. And also our nutrition services department does the green eggs and ham, so in many of our schools, so that fits in on that day as well. Also like to share with you and congratulate our high school band instructors. They had another fantastic joint band concert a few evenings ago. All 4 high schools performed at McNair High School. It was a great variety of music selections, and they all just did a fantastic job. So just want to commend them for doing this, putting their talents together for all 4 high schools to be together on one night. That was quite spectacular. Also want to let you know that we are off and running on our FLIP program. That is our exercise effort with our Heritage and Needham after school programs. This is the grant that we have received in conjunction with the Lodi Memorial Foundation. So that has just begun. We hope to bring you positive information, but the kids are very excited. They have yoga mats, they have trackers that they have. They have a beautiful resource finder full of exercise activities and nutrition information that they will track as they go through the program, so we'll keep you posted on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll do public comment. 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes, but is welcome to distribute any materials to the board and her staff. Due to restrictions imposed by the California Brown Act regarding discussing topics that are not on the agenda, board members may not engage in dialogue about this issue. Okay. I have 5 cards here. Is there anybody else that plans on speaking other than the 5 people who fill out these cards? Okay, we only have
3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes, easy. Okay, and I'm going to do the people that want to talk about the Lodi cheer situation first. Okay, so the first person is Sam Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell, you really only have 3 minutes, so.
Okay, I'll start now. My name is Sam Mitchell, to state my name. And I just wanted to say, Nancy, you're a tough act to follow. That's pretty cool. Dads and donuts on a roll breakfast. I'm definitely eat all that at Lodi, so I've eaten your food. But the hardest part to follow is I'm going up behind somebody who was just exemplified up here for building up the students in our school district. And now I have to talk to you guys about a topic where we have people that are making decisions that are tearing down the students in our school district. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen of the board, we want to ask your help to save Lodi High School cheer. Right? I was shocked to hear that the Lodi High admin announced that it would end the cheer program. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell us parents. They didn't tell the student athletes. They didn't tell the student body. After we heard, we reached out on social media, and we decided to tell everyone on social media the injustice that was being done to these children. We had such an uprising on social media. Within 3 days, 2,500 signatures were on a petition to save Lodi High cheer. It also caused the Lodi High admins to finally hold a meeting to talk to us parents and student athletes to tell us why the program was eliminated. That meeting was tonight, which we believe was done in an effort to get us to not come to the board. Simple, small tactics, but we were able to see around it. We all had the fortunate pleasure to spend over an hour with Mr. Lofstad and his ego, stands right by him, about this tall, where he was cold, he was crass, he was callous, he had nothing nice to say to any of the passionate girls crying in the stands. No empathy, no offer of apology, nothing other than the fact to say that it was the advisor's fault and the program ran in red for 1 single year, and that was the criteria. That was the only criteria that was needed to terminate the program. After the angry parents and the student body reached out to Mr. Lofstad, he basically offered a last-minute compromise, which was that we had to pay for 2 years ago's costs that were under the red, which he wouldn't provide the numbers for tonight, so that us parents could whip a checkbook out, which every single one of us in there would have, tonight to cover it. He would not provide that number. And we would have to ensure that we didn't run in the red this year, knowing we were going to run slightly in the red this year. The compromise was to have all of that made whole, and then to come up with a formula plan to ensure we do not go into debt next year. So what that meant was all past due had to be made up, and to move forward and have a plan to where we wouldn't go into the red ever again. That's fine. Us parents can completely do that. That's what we do. We love our kids. We love what this program means to them. We would sacrifice anything to do this for them. However, we were given 4 weeks to do that. 2 of those weeks is a break. So again, we're being set up for failure, okay? All that we are asking today is we would like the board's help to keep the program as it is for the remainder of this year, for the remainder of next year, until the parents and the administration and the board and anyone else that needs to be involved can come up with a comprehensive plan to run the program the way Mr. Lofstad and his admins would like the program to be ran.
3 minutes is up.
Perfect. I'm having a hard time reading it, but one of the nettings. Lindsay, Anthony, I can't read the first name.
Hello, my name is Ainsley. I'm a junior at Lodi High on this year's current drill team. I am speaking on behalf of the current juniors. As a team, we are baffled and appalled by the decision our administration made to get rid of sideline cheer and change the 50-year-long tradition of our drill team. Lodi's admin made the executive decision to terminate sideline cheer, turning it to competitive only, and allowing underclassmen to try out for drill without once speaking to our coaches, parents, teachers, or even our athletic director. We believe that if cheer wanted to make a separate competitive team, they would have brought up the idea themselves. The drill and cheer coaches weren't informed of the changes until just hours before our administration handed out the flyers to incoming freshmen advertising the new teams. There's been a lot of rumors going around as to why our administration could have possibly wanted to make these changes. We as a school still don't have a reason, but the one thing we know for sure is that these changes are causing much more commotion than normal had it been kept the same. Many of us believe that if our administration had thought to consult our coaches and all those involved in the sports they're changing before making the decision, most of these problems would have been avoided. Our principal hasn't spoken to us as a drill team about the changes, and even sent an email to all the teachers telling them that it was a rumor, which as we know it is not. They plan to turn cheer into competitive and making drill available to all grade levels. Drill and cheer are completely separate sports. One girl could be amazing at sideline cheer, but now that our school is taking it away, they'll be forced to try out for drill and possibly not make the team. We understand that our administration wants to make room for band to perform, but they can still allow sideline cheer. Our team only has room for up to 37 girls. We have about 75 girls try out each year, which is already more than almost every other sport offered at Lodi High. If you remove cheer and make drill the only option for all 4 grades, there will be about 150 girls trying out. Think about that. There will be about 150 girls trying out next year. We can only take 37. That means about 113 girls will get cut, and about 113 girls will get their dreams crushed. We love sideline cheer. Rallies and games would never be the same without them. Thank you.
What did you say? Say that again. Michael Selling.
Good evening, members of the board. Michael Selling. Yeah, I just wanted to probably dovetail on Mr. Mitchell's comments. You know, as the board, I would hope that you'd want your principals or others who come into contact with the public, who do frequent interactions with the public, to have some proper training. The cheer meeting at Lodi High tonight, Principal Lockteff did not exhibit that he'd had any such training. He was hostile, he was argumentative, he was evasive, he was unapologetic toward the students and the parents. And it was just a very, very poor showing, reflecting on the district as well as Lodi High, and we can do better than this. So I just wanted to implore the board to consider training for public outreach, because it was definitely lacking tonight. So thank you.
Okay, Lisa, I have no idea. Guru, G-R-A-U. Oh, is that his name?
You guys don't remember me? Hi, I'm Lisa Grassi, Houston student mom and rural area root child mother. Go cheerleaders, I'm also a junior flame mom, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here to not only present the Joe Cerna Houston problem, which I'll go ahead and leave to the next meeting because the cheerleaders are here tonight, but I'm here to bring up, and I will bring it up every week, and I will be at every board meeting. Rural area busing is a need for our students. Picture this, a 76-year-old grandmother with arthritic knees walking her 5-year-old autistic grandson over a mile to a bus stop in the middle of the day and in the middle of the morning, in the rain, in the cold, on a 55-mile-an-hour street with no sidewalks. Does that seem like something that should be happening? It is. It's a reality for next year. Or a C student who is missing his first period at Tokay High every day because his mother works night shift and is unable to bring him to class. His only other option is walking a mile down the road. Again, 55 miles an hour, no sidewalks to get to the bus stop. These are real problems. We may not be many parents with this predicament, but we have it. I'm bringing to the board, I would love to see on the agenda one of these meetings for you guys to take a look at the busing. I already brought it to Miss Washer's attention at a separate occasion of how, you know, we as parents are willing to pay for transportation ourselves. We are, you know, we're willing to look at options, but we have none right now. Next year, I'm looking at having to quit my job to get my 5-year-old back and forth to school. That is my only option. And he's autistic, and I was told at his IEP meeting, basically it's my problem that transportation's not provided. I looked up the rules, I looked up the laws. If transportation is not reasonable, if reasonable distance from the house, if the school's not a reasonable distance from the house, the school is to provide transportation for that student. Is a mile walk with no sidewalks on a 55-mile-an-hour street reasonable? I think not.
Mark? There you go. Yeah, I saw it.
I'm Mark Bregman. I'm here representing Joe Cerna School, and first I want to say, go Lodi High Cheer. Short and sweet. We just wanted to, first of all, Joe Cerna wanted to just let everyone know that we're here. Joe Cerna, if you raise your hand. We want to let the board know that we really appreciate what you guys are doing for the school as far as finding us a new location and to help us provide, you know, a school that's going to have the playgrounds and the facilities that we need for the Joe Cerna students. You guys are already aware of our situation there, and we're just here tonight to just tell you guys thank you. We really appreciate all that you're doing, and if there's anything that we can do to help and make this transition easier, we want to know about it because we want to work with whatever school we're going to be at. So we just want to tell you we appreciate that. Okay? Thank you very much.
That's all the cards I have. Is there any other public comment?
Michelle Orban, former Lodi Cheer and drill team member. I'm here on behalf of alumni that have requested that are out of the area that can't bring their voice to you tonight. You've heard from the audience and girls. I was at part of the meeting earlier. I think the message needs to be conveyed, again, that the communication between parties in our district needs to be improved. Not notifying them ahead of time and surprising them at the last minute, and then not giving the evidence as to why it was being cut is unacceptable. As a former cheer and drill member, there is a lot of fundraising. My 3 children were not involved in those programs, but were involved in other activities, and there is a lot of fundraising involved. And if the advisor and the administration at a site cannot communicate, we need to make sure that we work on ways for better communication so that we do not disillusion anyone from finding a place at a school. I had 2 friends that emailed me and said, if it was not for cheer, if it was not for drill, I wouldn't have found my voice as an adult. These are young children who are finding their place in affiliations. We cannot disillusion any of them to feel left out. We need to build inclusion, not subtract anyone from a program that builds them up. Let's work on the communication. Let's work on the plan. The one that was suggested here sounds very reasonable to me. Hopefully we can make that happen. Thank you.
We have time for one more, and we'll do it. Okay. That's the last
Hi. I just wanted to let, how many of you guys are from Lodi High School? Okay. To these girls, it doesn't mean, it's not just
Sorry,
another.
could you state your name, please?
Aislinn Hahn, AISLYNHAHN. Okay, so to these girls, it's not just like, you know, another sport at high school. It means a lot to them and it helps them grow and learn, and they develop friendships here that are going to last a lifetime. You got girls crying because they know that they're not going to be able to build each other up anymore. Sorry if I start crying because it means a lot to them. It means a lot to me. I know how much it means to them. I know that it's not just another sport, and that I know that a lot of them want to be, you know, like professional cheerleaders. And how I don't understand how anybody could want to take it away. It's also a part of high school. And when you go to a high school football game, you expect cheerleading on the sideline. So that's it. That's all I have to say.
We're going to close public comment. And we're ready to move on to consent agenda A.
Mr. Knack said, do you want to take just a 1-minute break in case
Yes.
anybody would like to do something else?
Yeah, there's a lot of students here. If you would like to escape at this point, this would be the time to Go guys. That was amazing. Thank you. Get me here at 11.
Good job, Samuel.
Good job.
Oh, you did better than I did. You're like, you're close to a football game.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving on, please. Consent agenda A, board members, are there any items that you'd like to pull?
Mr. President, I'd like to pull AA, please.
AA. Okay. Any other items? I would like to pull A5. And any items the public would like to have pulled?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve remaining items of consent agenda A.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Students, you have a preferential vote on this. Aye. Okay. That was an aye. Okay, board vote, please. What about this, Neely? How do we do this? Oh, that's phone?
Yeah, Mr. Neely.
Are you voting, Neely?
The vote didn't come up. I can see the agenda, but it did not come up a yes or no for the vote.
Can we do a vote for everybody or just Mr. Neely? All right.
Well, why don't you've got all of theirs? Why don't I just give you my vote?
Good enough.
Tell them it's not showing up here either.
It's not showing up here either. It's showing up on mine. So roll call vote.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
George?
Aye.
There we go. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item A5 was mine. I have a question with, is Mrs. Binica here somewhere? Okay, good. One of the questions I have is health and safety a state requirement for graduation?
No, it is not.
Well, that settles that then. It's not, was it ever once upon a time?
Yes, it used to be.
But it's not any longer. Okay. Well, then that settles that. The other thing is just a comment that I was glad to see that CTE courses is an option for graduation credit. My concern is that I still don't think we have enough of those classes at the 4 comprehensive high schools. I mean, that's just a comment, and not on you, but that's one of the things I would really like to see is more of those besides just having kids have to go to Lincoln Tech, which is a great facility, but we need more on our comprehensive high schools.
And we are planning a board report sometime this spring about all of our CTE classes and adult ed, so you can see where they're all distributed.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, with that then I will move.
Going somewhere?
Yeah. Take my sign and run.
Is there any other questions about A5? Do we have a motion then?
Motion approved.
Second.
Students?
Aye.
Okay. Call for the board vote then. Oh, roll call again? George, are you seeing anything?
Aye.
No. Okay. I take that as that you voted yes. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion passes then. All right, what was that one? That was, A8, Dr. Tolkien.
Yeah, I just pulled that because I disagree with it is all. Administrator takes the job, they work. Appearance.
I tend to agree with you, Dr. Tolkien. I think when you become an administrator, athletic director, I guess once upon a time was considered a pseudo-administrator, and I consider administrators jack of all trades. And you never know what next day may bring for you. And where I appreciate maybe the extra work, I'm not sure that it should be paid for as this, with the stipend that the teachers are getting paid. So I'm
strongly against it.
I'm not real for it either. Any other comments?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Castle.
I just respectfully disagree in as much as this is above and beyond their normal job. This is not having to do with their own campus. And I feel that this is only just inequitable to pay them for doing duties above and beyond their usual work.
I'll make a motion to approve item
Oh, hang on, just a minute. Is there any public comment? Okay. Now I need a
I
motion.
shall make a motion to approve item A8.
I'll second it.
Okay, did the students vote on this one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Preferential vote for the students then.
Aye.
Okay, board vote by roll call, I guess. Mr. Freitas.
Aye. Aye.
No?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Okay. So
Aye.
5-2.
5-2 then. All right. That takes care of consent agenda A. We are now looking at consent agenda B, which is student discipline. Students, you don't get to vote on this one. Any items need to be pulled?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the student discipline problem.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Ready for the vote then? And I suppose this is roll call again.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's been.
Aye.
Oh, it's passed. Thank you. Moving right along. We have a discussion about CPR, first aid, and safety with Dr. Washer.
Thank you, Mr. Knackstead, members of the board. The board has expressed concern about safety measures, and just want to let you know that staff also shares your concerns and has been dedicated to continuing our work towards improving safety measures at the school sites and all of our district facilities. I want to let you know that we are going to bring you a full staff report at the next board meeting, March 27th, which will give you information about our safety procedures, plans, and plans for the future. This discussion item comes as a result of the board's interest in talking about these specific items, so I just need to remind you that the discussion is focused on the items that are listed on the agenda: CPR and first aid for staff, safety drills, and procedures for volunteers. So we do have a member of the public who would like to speak to this. So ask, there she is, come on.
Come on up.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Washer. My name is Kelly Powell, and as I shared the last meeting I was here, I was a bit shocked to find out that our school staff and teachers are not required to have first aid and CPR training. This came as a shock to me and most everyone that I speak to that has kids in school. And I would like to request that we somehow implement this sooner rather than later. Safety and security are an issue as well. Emergency drills I know we have in place, like you mentioned, explaining at the next meeting, but is more so they need to be enforced, and principals need to hold their staff accountable to make sure that they're done, as well as safety. And we have these big fancy gates and locks at our schools, and I don't feel like all the schools are all following the same protocol when parents or volunteers come to the schools. They're just being buzzed in. They're not asked who they're there to see or what their business is there. They're not being carded or, so that they can at least know who they're talking to or why they're there. But I feel like those last two items are personnel and, implementation and just enforcing the rules that are already there. Doesn't cost any money, but it could cost the lives of our children. So it's pretty important. But the first aid and CPR training, as far as, choking in a lunchroom or falling during recess, a lot of kids have food out, and if you you're allergic to bees, you're on the playground, there's one person at the school in the office who knows how to use an EpiPen, that could cost a child their life. So I really would like to figure out a way to get everyone trained so that our kids are safe if needed in these emergency situations. I think that was it. Sorry, I'm really nervous. Thank you so much for adding my item to your agenda. I think it's very, very important.
Thank you. Comments from the board? Or questions from the public? Okay, come on up, please. One at a time.
I am Samantha Stoltz. I think one of my concerns recently, over the past few weeks, is the notifications to parents of lockdowns and just things happening on campus. I know we had some attempted kidnapping, and it took like almost 4 days before they notified anybody of it. The recent lockdown at Borchardt, I found out on Facebook before I even got a phone call from the school board, or the school. It was just, it's hard when you're at work and you can't get to your kid right away and you're finding out online something's going on, and then you go to pick up your son and he's almost in tears because he doesn't know what's going on. And I don't think it's right that things are taking so long to get to us. Information is taking so long to get to us. Something needs to be fixed there because it was heartbreaking. It was hard to see your 6-year-old terrified like that. And
what school was that, please?
Borchardt.
Oh.
So that was my biggest concern. Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Washer, what is the protocol for this type of situation?
It really depends on, I'm sorry, Mr. Knesset, members of the board, it really does depend on the situation. And when there is a lockdown drill, typically the principal will send one of those Ed Connect, Blackboard Connect phone messages to parents or whoever is on the system, letting them know that there was, that they had the procedure, letting them know that everybody was safe, and just giving them a brief synopsis of what had occurred. For a fire drill, no, they're not, those notices don't necessarily go out from every school about a scheduled fire drill. So it's those things that are maybe the unusual circumstances. We are working with our principals on talking about, more is better. If you think you need to call, then call. It's always better to be act with caution rather than delay or not call parents. So we are trying to emphasize the point that more communication is better. So even if it doesn't seem like a huge deal at the school, it's fine to let parents know anyway. I think parents would appreciate that, even if it isn't something that's a major concern at a school, just to let them know that happened. Because children will go home and talk to parents. Social media will get out oftentimes before the phone call even goes out. It's already out on social media, so we can't always get ahead of that. But we are working on more communication and quick communication. When there is a serious incident happening at a school, the administrator's responsibility is to take care of the school and to take care of the children and staff at the school. So that may cause a delay in a message going out, or it may mean that somebody else will be sending the message out for the principal to help rather than the principal doing it immediately. So we do also need to acknowledge that when there is something going on at the school, the principal's job is to take care of that situation. But we absolutely understand that more communication is better than less.
Any other comments? Okay, come on up.
Mr. Connect.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Neal, while she's going up here.
I really wish I was there for this because the communication here, as Dr. Washington said, is not good, especially when you're in Texas and the meeting's taking place in Lodi, California. We've got some problems with our microphones and it's hard to hear a lot of this. But I want to bring this conversation back around to what I thought was the original topic, and that was about first aid CPR training for our teachers. Dr. Washer, do you think there is a need for our teachers to be trained in CPR first aid?
Mr. Neely, members of the board, absolutely our staffs need to be trained in first aid. At this point, we cannot require teachers or any staff, but other than those who do have that requirement in their job description, but we certainly can offer the opportunity for training at different points, whether it be during break time or after school or other types of times for teachers or any staff member who would like to be trained. We certainly can offer that opportunity to folks and be the catalyst and facilitator of that to make it easier for folks to get the training. So I do believe that there needs to be a core of folks at any school site who have that training.
Right. Michelle, is Michelle there?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
What do you think about that, Michelle?
I'm going to ask if you could take a seat, and he'll call you up. Come with
regards to CPR and first aid, a teacher has, in order to clear the credential, they have to go through CPR and first aid certification.
Yeah, I realize that, but there is no requirement for recertification or ongoing training or refresher training or anything like that? Do you think there should be?
Yes.
Okay. So I heard several yeses. I don't know. Is that one of them for you, Michelle?
That's correct.
Okay. So how do we approach that then?
All right. Is that directed to me, Mr. Neely? This is Michelle. Okay. I would say that would be something the district could line up with part of PD and offer it. Of course, there's a cost factor to that. So, that would have to be built in. We do have the 2 days, and I don't know if that's enough to train or recert all teachers when you're looking at 1,500. I believe you're also talking about other staff and how that would work, but, there are companies that certify students for free. You have to invest in, for the lack of a better term, a kind of dummy at site. So students also can go under the training at high schools. I'm not sure if it's at middle school. Elementary, I understand, is out. But, we have both Red Cross and, oh my gosh, American Heart Association that does community days. However, that then is on a volunteer basis. And as you know, that's volunteering. So if we set something up within the district, I think that would be wise.
So this could be, as part of professional development, it might be something that the RBEF would look at, that would be part of professional development. There'd also be classes after school during professional development time there. That wouldn't have to be, of course you wouldn't have it every year for every teacher. A refresher training might be once every 3 years. Is that correct? Does that make sense?
It's 2 years.
I think it's 2 years for recertification.
2 years, okay.
It is 2 years.
All right, so is that something we should look at doing? That's to Dr. Washer.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then what's our next step?
I have a possible option. I think that what we could do as a district is kind of, I guess, open it and help facilitate it. Typically, your instructor has got to be run through Red Cross or American Heart Association, and a lot of times how it happens is that a group would, let's just say you go to the hospital and you ask their education department, hey, we'd like to do a CPR class for, my group's 10 people. And then they would give you the parameters. The basic CPR, I believe, trust me, it changes all the time, and I've been retired for a couple of years, and I've been CPR certified 42 years. Yeah, I'm old. And so what's that?
Experience.
Experience. So CPR does change, but anyway, it's typically a 4-hour class, 2-year recert, and you use one of their instructors. They've got the materials, they've got the mannequins. The thing is with Red Cross or Heart Association, which by the way, they do it differently, they provide all the materials. You must buy the book, typically, and that's how they make their money. And I've heard anywhere between $40 and $60 to get certified. However, periodically they do, at least they used to, something called CPR Saturday. And it's a real quick way to get through, and you can get a whole bunch of people done at one time. The only different problem with that is you need a whole bunch of instructors, because it's kind of a, you kind of round robin to these different stations. You go there, you learn, you practice, you move to the next station. And at the completion of all of it, when you got your card signed off, you now are CPR certified. And I'm always a believer in the more people that are certified in either first aid or CPR or both, the better off you are.
I agree.
But one of those things is, it's almost like, you know, even if you do CPR as to what you were trained and then it changed, you know, I have a hard time believing that somebody wouldn't act. Somebody wouldn't step forward and help a child at the school.
Right.
You know, under the Good Samaritan laws, you're fairly protected, as long as you practice within your scope of training. But on a wide scale, how this would happen on a district level, you know, without researching it, you know, like I said, we could say, hey, at Borchard Elementary on Thursday night, we're going to have a CPR training, or Saturday morning, or whatever. And the district could kind of sponsor, so we don't have to pay for, the people don't have to pay for a facility use. And if they want to get trained, you know, there's a cost. So is that cost then borne by the district? Is it borne by the individual? That's something that we all have to work out. And the schedule and all that kind of stuff. It's not impossible. It's just I don't see a whole bunch of people probably wanting to do it. You know, and then it's not just for teachers. It should be for other staff members also, I'm guessing.
Right.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask Dr. Washer, we have emergency procedures at every classroom in Lodi Unified, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, now we have a REMS person that does all this.
Yes.
Now, we could talk about how, when, how to do it, how many we could take and all that. Just a waste of time here. We have to get some logistics as to the requirements and how to go about doing it, the cost and all these things. I think it's essential that we have people that have knowledge of CPR and first aid at all elementary schools. I know that in the athletic staff, every person that coaches any sport has CPR, first aid, and even coaching clinics that they go through to be qualified to coach. I'm sure that something like this can be done to a group, or if we require for the whole district, it can be done. But there's some logistics there that you can figure out somehow, and maybe our REMS guy can do that and give us some advice as how to do it. I know that person is familiar with some school districts and how they go about the safety of CPR and first aid and all those kinds of things.
Sure, we could do that.
There also are it's called hands-only CPR, which can be trained very quickly. Doesn't take a lot of, well, it takes the mannequins, but it just practices the compressions. And so that's like a half hour, 45-minute training. And I mean, that's down and dirty, but the compressions is actually the most critical part of the CPR process. So, I mean, there's another possibility, and that usually doesn't cost very much. And a lot of times Red Cross does that free. It's like what I'm saying, CPR Saturday type thing. But hands only, it goes real fast.
Just a reminder, you did have another member of the public who wanted to speak.
Okay. Have a seat, Michelle.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Okay. My name is Deanda, and my son goes to Borchard Elementary and has since kindergarten. He's here with me tonight. On the topic of CPR, I'm an old lifeguard, so I always do it because, I mean, I would feel helpless in public if somebody was choking. To add to your comment, it's called a rescue breathing, not CPR. It's completely different.
Yeah, it's very
different. My son was taught very young to swim. He is willing to go do a CPR class because he's not going to be able to sit back and watch people helpless. But CPR is different from rescue breathing techniques. But he told me tonight he would be willing to do that. So, I mean, I don't know how many kids are as mature as mine. We've had situations where he's stepped up. He's a very good swimmer. So on that topic, I mean, I think Red Cross does offer it. I have been an instructor in the past. I think it's actually like 2 hours now. Very easy, but it's cool. I think everybody should have it. I think everybody should have it. You know what I mean? If someone's choking and nobody can save you. I mean, at least I think that everyone should have it. And it's very cheap. And the book is cheap too. You can find them used. Second topic. On the safety. My son goes to Borchard on that lockdown, and he said they did very good. All the teachers were aware. They did amazing on their safety protocol. He said it was very uncomfortable, that 45 minutes. He was in 5th grade. But for some reason, that school keeps getting hit. We're not sure why, Borchard. But we've had, last Friday, there was a suspicious person on campus. Sorry, I'm really nervous. And I didn't get a call till 7:30 Monday morning. I didn't know anything about it. I have to clear in, and obviously he's gone there, so the staff knows me. But I don't understand how someone got on campus, for one, and then we didn't find out till Monday morning. So that is a big issue with me, because when I part ways, I want to make sure that my son is safe. I don't have to worry. We have our own personal emergency protocols, you know, and the school is supposed to be the safest place. But I need to know, because I need to get to you if there's an emergency, a real emergency. And it's funny because we talk about the zombie apocalypse. So that's our protocol. You don't leave the school until I get to you. That's our thing. Now, I got in an argument yesterday with parents saying that the kids should be able to leave the school. No, I don't, even though we live a block away, no, don't leave the school. Stay there. Please stay there. But I did get really upset because Friday, when lockdown went down, and I understand, completely understand, the teachers have to deal with the situation because I can't understand about 1,000 parents panicking. Because sometimes the parents panic, then the kids panic. So, but it was a little scary, but I felt uncomfortable, not scary. And I do say that Borchard has an amazing little routine they do. Because it's an upstairs, 2-story, so they have 2 stairwells. So that makes me nervous. But he said they did really good. But so I think the more thing, the communication thing probably is the hugest thing. But also, yesterday and today, Tokay had a scare. And unfortunately, Lodi PD put out a wrong post on Facebook. There was no call. It was just a rumor. And they canceled the rally or whatever. I wasn't informed of that. I had to find out on Facebook. So even though my son goes to Borchard, and I get the calls when it's the younger ones, but when it's high schools, I don't get those calls. And from what I understand, Lodi High was on lockdown last week, and they tried to hush it.
Can I say something? You have a student at Tokay?
No, I have a student at Borchard.
Okay, now, the things at Tokay that happened, all the parents of Tokay students were notified immediately, yes.
Well, I mean, if it's in Lodi, I feel like I should still be notified. I mean, because I get all the notifications about the meetings and about days being short and what holidays there are, but I didn't even hear about Lodi High or Tokay until I got on Facebook. So I feel as though, whatever grade my son's in, I feel like I should know if it's happening in Lodi, or if it's happening in one of the 50 schools here in Lodi Unified School District. And I think that's my biggest concern tonight, was that I wasn't even notified about Lodi High or Tokay. And even though my son's in 5th grade, I still feel I should be notified, right? No.
Mr. Knax, members of the board, if I could just make a comment. When we feel that there is something that might affect other neighborhoods or students in other schools, we do communicate with other principals and get the same message out. For example, if there's somebody in a car that has been doing something suspicious or is a person of interest and is mobile in the area, we would absolutely let parents of neighboring schools know that. Just to let you know, we do get complaints from parents about getting calls that don't relate to them too. So we do have to balance that, but when we do feel that there is something that could impact students at another school or community, those principals are notified and the same message is sent out.
But not to us parents.
They are sent out to the parents when the incident may affect other areas, not just a one school incident.
Okay, so just question, did a notification go out that Lodi High was on lockdown last Wednesday?
I will have to refer that to Mrs. Vedica. I do not know.
No, if they're on lockdown, they
That was Lodi High. My son's in elementary school, but I wasn't notified till I got on Facebook. But it's not a notification, but it was in my city.
You wouldn't have gotten notified. The notification would have gone to Lodi High parents, not to Fort Church parents.
Yeah. But I get calls about all of Lodi Unified things that go on, but not that. And I don't care if it's when it's happening, it's more of an issue of, I mean, I get the calls about other schools, but not that particular school. And so, okay, I had a scare, but I had to find it on Facebook once again. I mean, it's just nice to get those calls about all these meetings, which is cool. I listen. But at the same time, that important I felt as a mother at Tokay High, if there's something going on, a scare or not, that same message I get about these meetings, I should get about something happening in Lodi. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, go ahead and make a note, you know, if.
That would be a completely change of procedure.
Right.
And I'm not
I know,
saying, yeah.
I don't know if there's anything we can do, but go ahead and.
Got it.
Okay.
That's what this is. It's a discussion, it's input, it's ideas.
Yeah.
So.
I apologize, I am
No problem.
nervous, but at the same time.
No,
and,
that's fine.
and it's totally fine because I understand that the teachers have to figure out what's going on first before they notify us, which is okay, that's fine. But I don't get those calls about Lodi High and it's okay. It's just about all the elementary schools. All the meetings, all the superintendent stuff, all that stuff I get and I listen. It's on my phone, informational.
Okay.
It's my
Okay, thank you, got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
okay. Anyway, so thank you.
Okay.
Lisa Grassi again. I just want to let you guys know I'm a Lodi High mom too, as well as Houston, and I didn't get a call. This is the first I heard about a lockout at Lodi High. Because my student doesn't tell me everything.
It was all over Facebook.
There wasn't one.
It was all over Facebook.
Well, I just want to let you guys know, bring it to your attention. I as a Lodi High student, didn't get one. I got the email when the teacher had the heart attack, which apparently everything went okay, but I wasn't aware that my study was on a lockdown. Also, as your CPR, this was just a suggestion because I do work in the medical field, and even being a receptionist at a doctor's office with no clinical duties whatsoever, you have to be CPR certified. So I'm kind of shocked that our students don't need certified CPR personnel on campus. And just to let you guys know, there are other avenues you guys can go to. I'm also a Boy Scout mom, and we have somebody from either UCSS or Stanford comes out and does like an informational seminar, which you guys could make it like an assembly where they'll come out and teach everyone CPR. Just a suggestion.
Thank you. You know, Doctor, she just said something that just sparked something in my head. Training every teacher in this district in CPR is probably more of a pipe dream, honestly. Not that it's not valuable, but it would be very difficult to do. But training half dozen people on every campus would not be undoable. I mean, every campus, should have somebody on campus that can perform CPR and basic first aid. Oh, we haven't. Okay, come on. Sorry.
Good evening. I am a Lodi Unified Elementary parent, a husband of a Lodi Unified teacher, and a fireman myself. Couple questions and concerns.
Your name, please.
Excuse me?
Your name, please.
My name is Madison Hampton.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. I apologize for that. I had a question. I don't know if it could be fairly interactive. If I ask a question, can I get an answer? I mean, it just helps me, or no. Is that not possible? Okay, Rams. You use the term Rams. Can I get what's Rams?
REMS. If that's our emergency management system, it's actually a national effort. All schools responding the same way to emergencies with protocols. Mr. Khan is our overseer.
There's almost a checklist that our security people go through annually to see whether or not this year we're in compliance with new REM standards.
Okay. You're the oversight on that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Does the district have like an emergency services school safety program coordinator type position, or is that your title, or?
We have, it's not my title. Okay. There is a coordinator at the district office level.
I only ask that because my wife, who's a teacher, like I stated, does not know who that is, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you are being unsafe or anything like that. But for there to be available certain equipment and certain personnel that questions can be directed to and so on and so forth. It's my personal belief that staff members should know who that person is, and if they have questions or comments or concerns, they can address those with that individual and figure that out. The reason why I bring that up is there's been equipment provided by the school district, first aid equipment that, if I'm not mistaken, is in buckets and backpacks that are provided in the classroom. And those include really extreme hemorrhage control techniques, like tourniquets, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to ask now. And there's, to the best of my knowledge, with my wife as a staff member, there's been no training for those individual pieces of equipment. And my wife has been a teacher for like 12 years or something and has not had, by any means, and you guys know this, we've been speaking about this all night, the perpetuated training. So her techniques are 12 years old, and while she could be relatively successful with early compressions, as someone stated earlier, it's still not current, up-to-date, modern, you know, what is certainly the best CPR that can be provided. Every 5 years, American Heart, American Red Cross, and a slew of other companies across the country, lesser known entities, they meet and confer, and they continue to grow and learn on what is effective and what isn't, so that these out-of-hospital cardiac arrest events, whether it be choking or trauma or heart-related issues, can be mitigated with the best outcome. And so it's certainly my concern for my wife and her coworkers and, you know, the students and so on and so forth, my children who go to school there, that be taken care of. It really depends on how the board wants to go about it, as far as whether they want to have a certification card, as you, Mr. Thank you, stated that there's a cost associated with that, or whether you want to do more of a familiarization, like some other members have stated. There's shorter programs or what have you. I personally, as a firefighter, am against a condensed or shortened or not all-inclusive program, because I know the benefits of full CPR certification course, and more importantly, as I stated before, the first aid portion, which would include training on our growing allergy problems with epinephrine or EpiPens, our growing with different issues, first aid wise, if there were, heaven forbid, some sort of incident where, you know, hemorrhage control was an issue. These given equipments are not being taught properly to actually use them the way they're intended, or at least that's to the best of my knowledge, and I apologize if I'm speaking incorrectly. So is there, when those items were purchased, was there an intent to train? Was there a plan for that, is a question I guess you can say from myself.
Well, I would concur in, you know, what you're saying about if we provide those materials for a classroom, that's like for an extended lockdown or something like that. Just saying, okay, that classroom has it, check.
Right.
That's far different than somebody knowing how to use it.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you would think that the natural thought is, from our profession, is that if you have the materials, you should train to use those materials. Otherwise, they're just materials in a bucket or a backpack.
Right, and they're that nice, cuddly safety blanket without any practicality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what Mr. Nava was talking about is that I think where we should probably go is to find out all of those kinds of logistical things about, and it's going to come up in our next board meeting, and I think probably in more detail. That way it would, instead of us trying to guess at what level we want of CPR or first aid or that, I think that handing it back to staff and having them contact people who are in the field would say, we believe this is more appropriate for this level. You know, we had CPR for professional rescue. Well, we had airway, infant, children, adult, on and on. 2 rescue or 1 rescue. We had the gamut of it.
Right.
I don't foresee that happening in the district.
No, and it's almost excessive.
So that's why, correct, that's why those levels, and I don't think us here are going to solve that, but those issues that you bring up about the training are very valid. And from what I know, the teachers that I know, and custodians and all, they'll do anything and everything they can to help the situation.
Sure.
We just need to help them help kids.
Exactly. Give them those tools as well. In what capacity are you able to take information to make that logistics easier on yourselves? Is there a way that we can, as a community, provide, you know, methods of how that's happened in the past or what have you?
You know what I would say, you know, if you want to give your name to me and I'll bring it forward, you can send it to the superintendent's office and just offer, hey, you know, I've got some insight. Here's some people you might want to contact, whether it's the hospital or, you know, American Heart. Or,
right, because then that takes that logistical nightmare and it kind of whittles it down.
Right. It saves them footsteps.
Correct. Okay.
I would say do that.
I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay.
Helps if you're in the front.
Otherwise we'll keep button in front of you.
I guess one of the things with the next, with the study session or report going forward might be to evaluate what we actually have on site, such as first aid kits, buckets, the REMS procedures, what site are doing safety reviews, how often, binder updates, all of that. Maybe that's part of that report that can happen, and school sites and teachers be asked, along with classified staff, asked, you know, are there needs, are there holes or gaps in the system that we can fill for that report?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Thank you.
Now, it's your turn. You got it.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having me. My name is Sam Fritz. I have a child at Lakewood Elementary. To kind of continue on with everybody else, it sounds like we're getting kind of a handle on the CPR thing. I've been a paramedic for 15 years here in Lodi. I currently work in Elk Grove with the fire department there. I have seen firsthand what it's like to show up to a school and have an injured child or somebody that's real sick, and hey, where are we at? What has been done? What's going on? Nothing, they're right here. Okay, perfect. Having somebody get in there ahead of time and get us some information, or at least start the process, does help out quite a bit. The CPR thing, I know it would be a nightmare to try to get everybody CPR approved, but working for the ambulance company here in town, I know for a fact I've done it myself plenty of times. I've shown up to schools when teachers have asked and staff has asked, and given presentation of hands-only CPR to children and the staff there. Even doing that helps. If you get somebody, you guys were talking about earlier how compressions, that's what everybody's teaching now, compressions, compressions, compressions. If you get somebody in there just beating on the heart until we get there, you know, on the ambulance or whatever, helps and increases that survivability rate. The other part of that is the first aid. First aid is huge also. Basic first aid, bleeding control, stuff like that. I don't want to get into the mass bleeding that could possibly happen and tourniquets and stuff like that. I think that should not be an issue and involve teachers or anything like that. If that comes to that point, I'm sure they'll know to tie a shirt or whatever onto somebody's arm. But just the basic bleeding control, keeping wounds sterile, stuff like that, holding possible broken arms from the monkey bars still so they're not moved or anything like that and compromised even further. I think that would be a great help. Another part of the agenda there is the procedures for the volunteers. Showing up to pick up my daughter from school at Lakewood every day. I've seen the big fence that they put around it. It looks fantastic. There's a big chain link fence along Turner Road. Turner's a pretty big road, and I realized that it would cost probably a great deal of money to extend that fence that way. But we have locks on every doors and buzzers and stuff like that. I have personally seen people ring that doorbell. I hear the little click. I don't hear another voice. They walk in and hang an immediate right and go to their child's classroom. Not going into the office or anything. I don't know what the protocols for any of that stuff is to check in, but I assume it's not that. I believe every volunteer had to be fingerprinted. I believe that was set in place right around 98 or so for Lodi Unified. Lakewood started doing it in December of last year. That's 20 years past when it possibly got implemented. And there is still, I've been into my daughter's class a couple of times and walked right in. Who are you here to see? I'm here to see my child. Okay. Do you want her to come up or do you want to go back and get her? This makes me feel safe. So I appreciate you guys hearing everybody talk about this stuff tonight, and hopefully some of this gets through and some of these things can change. Thank you. Have a great night.
Hi, I'm Jen Day. I have a daughter at Lodi High and a daughter at Lakewood. And a couple weeks ago, we had a brief meeting at Lodi High about their safety policies, their lockdown situation. And a couple of things came up in the meeting. One was possibly...
Who ran that meeting and who was invited to the meeting?
Mr. Lopstad.
Yeah.
And there was I believe there was an email that was sent out.
Okay.
And an all call.
Everybody was invited?
Everyone was invited. I want to say probably about 30 parents showed up. So it was really nice, and the officer that's there every day was there as well to answer any questions. But so we talked about everything. We talked about CPR. We talked about people, emergency personnel, how long it would possibly take for them to get onto campus if need be, if there was a mass whatever. But one thing that comes to mind is, why don't we get the students involved? Whether it's maybe the graphic design class and they have a project and they have to, maybe it's the pictures with how many compressions or tourniquets or and maybe they post them throughout the district in classrooms or wherever it may be. That was an option that brought up, or maybe it's just at Lodi High. Just a suggestion, because not only the students will be learning too how to help their peers, but it will also maybe save a little money that way to just get the information out, and everyone's aware of how to provide services if need be. So that's
The one flaw in that is people forget that there's a curriculum that teachers try to follow, and sometimes that works, what you want them to do, but other times they've got their own curriculum they need to get through besides doing stuff for the school district. Anybody else? Any other comments?
Can be continued next board meeting.
All right then. Where are we? We're going to move on to other action items. Item 1 is a resolution for the hiring of a short-term classified employees. Ms. Katowski? You ran there.
Vice President Knexted, this is a resolution that's being presented from the curriculum department. They need some short-term employees to help them through the summer, get the textbooks and everything ready for the students, and that's what this is about. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Board, any questions? Public, any questions from the public? Have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve resolution 2018-15.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Ready for the vote? Oh, student preferential vote. Aye. Okay. Board vote, please. And I guess we're doing roll call still.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 2, second interim financial report with Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Vice President Connexted, members of the board, Dr. Washer. It's that time of the year again where we present our second progress report on the board's approved budget, which was passed last June. I'd like to introduce Ms. Angel Mernon, Senior Director of Budgets.
You got lots of money, right? Oh.
Good evening, members of the board. Could you open the PDF for the 17-18 second interim presentation? Thanks, Michael. See if this will work. Okay, so for second interim, we have an approved revenue budget that has been updated since our first interim report to you. We are at $335 million in state revenue. Our expenditures are at $339 million, and these have been updated for all of our bargaining group agreements, with the exception of the LPPA bargaining group, which has not settled for the 17-18 fiscal year. You can see that our salaries and benefits have been updated, and we are at 78% of our budgeted expenditures, which is typical for our district. This is a report on our unrestricted ending fund balance over our multi-year projections at this point in time. With the updated from the governor's budget proposals that were brought to us in January, we have updated our 18-19 and 19-20 estimated ending fund balances. So you see the large increases in our ending fund balances. For 18-19, we are estimated to be at the end of the year 46 million in our ending fund balance unrestricted, and at the end of 19-20 at 53, almost 54 million. However, please keep in mind that this doesn't include any estimated increases in our expenditures for 18-19 or 19-20. That'll be part of our LCAP process to determine if expenditures get increased. This is our unrestricted ending fund balance reserve assignments for the current fiscal year. As of right now, our ending fund balance for unrestricted is at 38 million. Our required 3% economic uncertainty is the 10.3 million that you see down at the very bottom. And then all of the other assignments are the assignments that we have had for all of the current fiscal year. The numbers have been updated in accordance to what our ending fund balance projections are, but not a whole lot of change. This is our enrollment history. This is the same that we show you at every interim and budget adoption. I have updated the numbers through March of the current fiscal year. The very top line is our 17-18 fiscal year, which is good because that means that we are at our highest enrollment levels over the last 5 years. However, you can see that we are taking that normal decline at this time of year. That is our normal trend. So our interim summary, our STRS and PERS will continue to increase, and we have estimated $10.7 million through 2021.
However, PERS is estimated to continue to rise beyond 2021. I've got PERS increasing all the way through 22-23 with rates estimated at this point. We won't know those. They get to vote on those every year, so they'll change. But they do show the rates increasing all the way through 22-23. Carryover has been indicated in our expenditures in the current year, which does create a deficit. We have higher expenses with revenue. The revenue is reflected in prior years, so that does create the look of a deficit spend in the current year. Our 17-18 one-time funds have been received and are reflected in the interim report. The special education reserve that we have set aside every year for special ed increases of $2 million has been reduced by $288,000 for 51. Our 88 has been slightly decreased with our typical decline. As I stated earlier, employee compensation settlements have been reflected with the exception of one bargaining unit that's still outstanding for 17-18. And our January proposed budget is reflected in the 2 future years' revenues with minimal changes to expenditures at this time. Expenditures will continue to increase beyond second interim MYP. However, revenue is now capped at the LCFF target. Only COLA or legislative apportionment will increase our future year revenues. So that's something that we need to be very careful of. Our expenses, we want to be careful that our expenses don't exceed what our revenue income will be, and with PERS and STRS, we're already doing that in the future years. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Oh, audience, I'm sorry. Any questions from the public? Okay, thanks.
I want to thank all the staff, Angel, yourself, and the rest of you. You have three here located, but you did a great job, very transparent and everything. Thank you very much.
Angel, wonderful report as always, very informative, and numbers are the numbers, but they have to be done with credibility, and we greatly appreciate that. This is an action item?
Yes, it is.
So I would move that we approve the second interim financial report and thank Mr. Khan for his staff's hard work.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
Okay, voice vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
George? Aye. It has approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
Okay, another action item is personnel matters involving approval of the certificated and classified, well, whatever, personnel matters with Mr. McKilligan.
Mr. Vice President, routine personnel matters are presented for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve personnel matters.
Second. Student preference. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that when I looked at the personnel matters for tonight, I'm Deborah Ladwick from CSEA here in Lodi. I was disappointed to see that there are 4 items that date all the way back to July 31st of 2017. The only way that we know what is going on for our members is by reading the personnel actions. These 4 items have to do with bus route selection. In the last 4 months, I have had multiple meetings with people in transportation, multiple bus drivers who were upset, didn't feel that they had been properly taken care of. I did not have any information to use to be able to know whether or not they had been voluntarily or involuntarily reduced when the bidding process took place. I did verbally ask for information from the transportation department, and they told me they didn't have it. On March 6th, you are bringing items from July 31st. That is very disappointing for us because we cannot represent our members if we don't have the information. I'm just very disappointed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, have student vote already, or do you have any other comments? Oh, right, I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Kayleen also. I'm a special education teacher at Needham Elementary. I was recently informed that my principal, Ruth Ross, has decided to resign from her position, which is very discouraging. She would not state specifically why, only giving the reason as not a good fit, which is false. Mrs. Barajas promotes nothing less than creating a safe and exciting learning environment, not only for the students, but for all educators on the campus. I have worked at Needham Elementary long enough to be aware of those who do not support her vision and her mission for Needham. And that is very unfortunate for them. I am here with my colleagues and parents in hopes of having Mrs. Barajas' resignation retracted and denied. Those of us here stand together in support of her and outnumber those who do not. Whatever the detrimental information you have received that has led to her resignation is not an accurate reflection of how everyone at Needham feels. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Miriam Galvin, and I'm here as a parent. My 3 children go at Needham School District, and I'm just here as a voice of a lot of parents that this happened really soon about Mrs. Ruth Barajas, principal. As a mom, I think she's been doing a great job at her school, supporting everybody, the community, and we've seen this from a lot of parents. For me, this is the first time I actually met a principal that came to me as telling me I'm the principal of elementary school, Needham School, and I'm here for you, you know. So it was really sad news for me to hear that, you know, she was going to be resigned, and I'm not happy with that because she's been doing so much for the community, for the Hispanic parents. And there's a list that's going on that this happened like 2 days ago that we just noticed, and there's a list going on about parents that don't want her to leave the school because she's been doing so good. She's been doing the dance academy for her students. She's been doing the English, jump into English, and for me that's really good because I actually now, as a parent, 4 months ago, I just started working right here at the district on Needham School for noon duty, and I've been seeing everything that she's been doing, and she's a great principal, and I'm really sad that she's deciding to do this. And I'm just the voice of a lot of parents that I just talked to, and they're really, you know, surprised about this decision, and we don't want her to, you know, go. We want her to stay in our community because she's been helping a lot of the students, and I know that she's actually, you know, she's right there for the students. She's always has a smile, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of teachers like we're supporting her to stay here and at this school. So I just wanted to let you know to please, you know, to keep her because she's been doing so much for the community. And there's a, like I'm telling you, there's a list going on of a lot of parents writing that we don't want her to leave the school. So that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Melissa Lane Ansaldua, and I work at Needham School. I would like to briefly speak to my experiences working with Ruth Barajas as my administrator. In my 13 years working in education, I have worked with upwards of a dozen administrators. In all that time, I have never felt so comfortable reaching out to my administrator or as valued as a professional as I have the past 2 years working with Ruth Barajas. Mrs. Barajas' passion for her job is evident to anyone who has a moment to watch her throughout the school day. She is always positive in her interactions with every person on campus. She is an advocate for every student and parent. Mrs. Barajas considers any decision that might affect the trajectory of a student's education, both in the current school year and beyond, with the utmost seriousness. Mrs. Barajas' work ethic and commitment to her job are beyond reproach. She is one of the hardest working administrators I have ever worked with. I don't think anyone could honestly say that Ruth Barajas isn't committed to Needham. My intention for speaking out tonight is to stand in support of my principal, Ruth Barajas. I think she has been a great administrator for all the things I mentioned tonight and more. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, my name's Chris Dyer. I'm a 6th grade teacher over at Needham as well. I just kind of wanted to speak in support of Ruth as well. In the 2 years that I've been there, she's been very approachable, very easy to talk to, easy to work with, and just her vision with the school, her vision of building an actual community with the parents, the teachers, everyone involved. It has been absolutely amazing to work there. In my experience, it hasn't always been like that with the school, and the principals are oftentimes kind of detached because, let's face it, there's a lot that they have to do. But just all the effort she puts in, and just everything I've kind of heard and seen over the past 2 years, it just kind of blindsided us, and it's very disappointing. I can tell you that a lot of I do know that some things have been said and brought in. They don't necessarily represent everything or everyone on the staff, myself included, because not everyone feels the same way. And kind of the purpose of this was just to make that known. It's not everyone. Not everyone is having the same thing, and only one vocal group is saying something, and that's not always the case. Thank you.
Any more comments? Do we have a motion?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I want to speak to 2 different situations. Deborah, I would like to ask Dr. Washer, would you please let the board know why there was that enormous lapse of time and what happened with transportation in not notifying these people as Deborah relayed to us? That does, I mean, I'm looking at the dates now that you pointed that out, and that is not making sense, and thank you for bringing that up. And in regards to the Needham situation, I, for one, do not understand. I don't understand why Ms. Barajas is, why we have this particular action. I'm not comfortable in voting for it because I'm not understanding the whole situation. Needham parents and staff, thank you for being here. Thank you. Because your voice needs to be heard, in my opinion, and I appreciate the fact that you are here very, very much. And I would like to understand, I don't like just her name on this list. Boom, it's done. I want to understand what's going on. So how do I do this, Dr. Washer? How do we take her name off this list if I have 3 people that support me on this?
You would vote, if a motion is made to approve these items, you would vote no, or you can make a motion to remove one item from the entire group.
Okay, then that's what I would like to do, is to remove Ruth Barajas' name from this list. And what I want to have happen is for us as a board to understand the situation in its totality.
Okay, is there a second on that motion? I think the motion dies then. There's no second, all right? Okay, motion dies then. Okay, any other comments from the public or the board? Do we have a motion for?
I think
Did we already have a motion on this already once?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we have a motion to approve item number 2. Yes?
Can you refresh our memories?
Yeah, do we have it?
Motion and second.
Moved by Jonava, seconded by Darrell Hall.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, if you already had a motion on the floor, then you would need to vote on that motion first or ask for an amendment to that motion.
Why?
Rather than make another motion that Mrs. Castle did, if there's already a motion on the floor,
yes.
you either vote first or Mrs. Castle would ask for a amendment to the motion.
Excuse me, could you repeat that, please?
We're going to vote for the original motion, and I suppose, and then if it fails, then we'll go for a second.
Then you get a different motion.
Yes. So the motion right now.
Excuse me, there's already, this is on the personnel issues, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a motion and there was a second, correct?
Yes.
And we also offered an amendment. She made a motion for an amendment, and there was no second.
Correct.
Correct. So now you vote on the original motion.
You're correct, Mr. Connect, that motion, that amendment dies, and the motion is voted on as it is.
Okay. All right. Then we have a roll call vote. These guys, the personnel, so they don't do it. All right. Roll call vote. So.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No.
Okay, motion passes 6-1. Okay, moving on to communications. And, the good part. Student reps. Who wants to go first? I'll go first. All right on.
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, Dr. Washer, we have a somewhat short student report. A couple big things that happened on our campus was our Bear Creek Signature International Rally. So this is a event that highlights all of our cultural clubs and just our, not limited to cultural clubs, but all of our clubs on campus. And we have these rallies where they perform for about 3 minutes each, and really highlights our diversity, and that's something that we're very, very proud of, something that I've really preached throughout the years. And so through that, we had a total of 4 rallies, 2 during our school early and late rally. We had 2 night rallies. The 4:30 rally, which is the earlier night rally, had significantly more individuals than last year, and our 7:30 rally was again sold out, with people still trying to get in at the door. But again, it's something that we are very, very proud of, and that we love to put on for our community and kind of highlight what Bear Creek is truly about. And during in a time of scathing political divide and racial tension, this Bear Creek is kind of being progressive in that we're celebrating our diversity, as the entire district is, and we really put that forward for the community, and we got a lot of good publicity for that, as well as the district. We had our International Carnival, which is coupled with this, which is used for fundraisers for our clubs on campus. So whether it's going towards the costumes that were being reimbursed for the costumes that were used during the rally, or just other club needs, that's something that we do. There was a total of 23 vendors, and due to the weather, we were actually forced to move it inside. But an interesting psychological thing occurred when it was inside. It was more of there was a stronger sense of community due to the close proximity, and we had individuals singing and dancing, which has not really been done before at a carnival, and that's something that was very interesting to see, and very, very just beautiful to experience. And as a student leader, we're always very impressed with our students and how different socioeconomic groups and different racial groups were interacting in a way that usually doesn't happen on other campuses. That's another thing that was evident. As for presentations and events, this isn't like a feeder program, but we had our student athletes go to Chris McAuliffe and kind of talk to them about their sports. Obviously, due to CIF rules, the coaches cannot go and converse with students until May 1st, but our student athletes did, and the students got a complete kick out of it. And we had, actually, I'll talk about it a little bit further, but one of our freshman basketball players, Maya Blake, and she's an absolute stud, to say the least, but she was actually supposed to go to St. Mary's, but we we had a couple student athletes talk to her and convince her on the first day of school. She came to Bear Creek and signed up, and she led them to the section championship, which I'll get to further. But that's just kind of like a testament to what we're doing here. As another thing, I kind of reported on a WASC cycle mid-visit. I have a summary for that, and they're extremely, extremely impressed with our campus. They said our reports were one of the most detailed that they've ever seen, and like I say all the time, I'm a numbers kind of guy, and the numbers were clear there, and it was very transparent in what we have been doing. One quote that I would really like to bring forward to the board is one of the WASC administrators had said, "The world has become a place where everyone is running from one another. But here on this campus in this district, the running stops." And I was completely taken aback, because when you think about what's going on today and just the real world implications of our society, and for that to be said about our school and our campus in a cultural melting pot and that it is, it's just, I was very, very impressed and very proud to be a Bear Creek Bruin. I personally spent the day with the evaluators. It was also my birthday, so it was a pleasant surprise that I got to spend time on the administrative side of school. But I showed them our various learning environments. I took them to a couple calculus classes, a couple CP level classes. They were impressed with the wide range of how we can cater to specific students and their specific needs. That's something that was very emphasized during the meeting. Ms. Basinger and a team of administrators went to a training, I believe it's the CATA training, and we talked about this a little bit in our instructional leadership meeting today after school, and how beneficial it was, and we had a very, very healthy discussion about what we can bring back to our campus to make it more efficient and more, for lack of a better term, accessible for different kinds of students and different perspectives. That's something that was brought up. As for our speech and debate members, they keep on qualifying for auto qualifying for state. It's I don't have specific names, and because the list is exhaustive. Our speech and debate program is really going up and beyond the expectations that was placed upon them, and which is really, really great to see. We actually had our American Legion girls and boys state applicants. Have been finalized, and I got to sit in during the interview process for that, which was very, very interesting, being a fellow boys stater myself. It was, we have a lot of good Lodi Unified School District representatives going, and they're going to do some pretty big things for sure. We have a couple governor candidates, I would say. For co-curricular, women's varsity basketball qualified for the section championship game. They had lost that game, but they're still eligible in the Northern California tournament, where they will be playing St. Francis, which is the 8th seed. Boys basketball, perfect lead record and made it to the second round in playoffs. Girls soccer also made playoffs. Wrestling had a very successful season, and 5 out of our 6 winter sports actually moved on to the next level, past leagues, so playoffs or what a masters or things along those lines. One staff member that I really want to recognize, and it's his first year being an athletic director, but athletic director Jason Johnson, he's doing an absolutely amazing job. I sit in with him on our facilities use meetings, and he is the epitome of what a athletic director should be in forms of communication, in forms of passion for the students, and kind of furthering that position. He's drastically elevated our programs and given us a new swagger, for lack of a better term, and kind of brought Bear Creek this positive image, and his streamline of communication through our teams and coaches is really, I think, through 5 out of 6 winter sports, it's a true testament to that. But also, he did this while expecting his wife, and she just had twins, so he was a very, very busy man, but he still continues to get the job done, and that's something that I really want to bring to the board and say, hey, athletic director from Bear Creek High School, Jason Johnson, is really doing a fantastic job. Upcoming events, Goodbye Rally. It's our rally where we have our seniors. It's kind of a bittersweet moment for us, where it's kind of like a wake-up call, like you're going to go out to the real world now, and so we're doing a couple new things with our report on that as that comes closer, but our prom is also on April 7th. It is at the Stockton Golf and Country Club, and that's pretty much it. But again, just going back to the WASC, because I mean, it was an absolutely amazing experience. And the fact that the district has provided these tools and Bear Creek has utilized these tools and it's clearly displayed through this mid-cycle review and how impressed they were. Again, it goes to the efficiency of the board. It goes back to the superintendent, assistant superintendent. You guys are doing an amazing job. And I've heard this from a lot of my other fellow family members and friends and other, students. So thank you for just keeping this district on track for success and kind of creating students and molding students to believe that they can do whatever they want to do and giving them the tools to do that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members of the board, Ms. Dr. Washer. I want to say thank you to our Key Club for their campus cleanup. These individuals take their time out of their day to create a new positivity atmosphere at Lodi High. For our act of kindness, in light of recent events, Lodi High is looking forward to initiating a positive change in school culture. Hashtag What's Your 17 is in response to the tragedy in Florida and is designed to encourage everyone to affect change. We will be starting the day we get back from break with activities during lunch and to bring a new atmosphere at Lodi High. Our ASB Vice President Courtney Heiser is taking this challenge on to initiate extreme change due to the recent events. And right now, members of student government and I are working on a safety video on what to do in case of an active shooter situation. This video's main audience is the student population to mentally prepare and to be ready. And we're working closely with our school resource officer and Principal Losted. And for performances and events, Lodi High counselors had their Block L gold pin ceremony this morning. 36 seniors earned that gold pin, and that's 7 semesters with a GPA of 3.8 or above. Congratulations to them for putting in that extra work. We placed second in salad prep at a regional level, 3rd place in fashion design in the FCCLA competition, and we have a regional 6 FCCLA president. For academics, congratulations to our Science Olympiad team, red placing 5th overall, and the white team placing 7th. And then we had 2 students committed to universities for their athletics, Amanda Harris at Dominican University and Coy Pickett to Sac State. Congratulations to them and good luck. Lodi High's basketball team brings home a win with the cross-time rivals. Congratulations to them, and our girls basketball team and soccer team made it to the playoffs. And for our upcoming events, we are hosting a Sadie's Hawkins dance Friday, March 30th, and prom's coming up May 5th, and 4th quarter is just about to start. And we're all excited about that, but not really for the seniors because we're almost done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Employee groups. Not seeing none. No.
I think we've talked about the safety issues we were going to bring up tonight. I wanted to speak to the item that was pulled earlier on policy 5116.1. We want to say thank you. We appreciate the addition of the parent guardian of Lodi Unified in that board policy. We have questions about the transfer process now that it's moved up and the IDAs. Should we be looking at moving that forward? I know it's already passed, but maybe as we go forward with the IDAs, you know, how is that going to work? Sorry, wrong policy. 5116.1 about moving the transfer process up for employees now that it's in December with the IDAs, the students, those FTEs earlier. Can we keep an eye on that? And then the conditions of the inter-district transfers with keeping up with the requirements of those students who are on IDAs, the GPA, just to make sure that we're keeping up with what the requirements are on the IDAs. But we do appreciate those changes and additions that were added to those board policies. And again, thank you for the comments and the discussion on the safety. We look forward to input before the next report.
Thank you. Any other employee groups, comments? Okay, moving on to the board. Mr. Freitas.
Mr. Vice President, We've been calling you Mr. President all day. How do you feel about that, Mr. Neely, over there in Texas, huh?
He's asleep.
Very good.
No, I'm fine.
Time change.
We heard a lot of stories about cheer today, and a lot of people said that cheer made them what they are today in those stories. Interesting enough, I felt kinship to that because cheer actually made me a board member. My daughter went to Tokay and got on the cheer squad, and I was so impressed with the people I met at Tokay, one of which is my colleague's wife, who is sitting next to me here today. And the other people at Tokay that I was inspired to give back when this opening came back and to try to ensure that these opportunities are provided. My daughter were also provided to other parents. So a high school without a cheer squad, that makes about as much sense as maybe a school board not having meetings or maybe a high school not having a principal. I can't imagine that, and I hope that 3 of my other colleagues would ask that this be a report item at a future meeting so that we can get to the bottom of this. Do I have the 3 other members in support of that?
What is your request, Mr. Freeman?
That we have a report item as to the Lodi High Cheer program and what its future is with Lodi High.
I would concur, if I can speak.
Okay, sounds like I have two more. Mr. Neely?
I'll support you on that.
Thank you. Also, I do have some concerns. I understand that there were some descriptions of a Lodi employee at a meeting tonight not acting professionally. I'd like to have that investigated and make sure that there was no truth in those comments, because you know, at the end of the day, our parents are our bosses, and they have to be treated with respect and dignity at all meetings and in all shapes and forms. I'm hoping that these characterizations are not accurate, and I'd like to have information about that at a future meeting. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Hemley?
Thank you, Mr. VP. I'm going to try to do this in an hour if I can keep my voice going.
Make it 55 minutes.
Yeah, there we go. On February 23rd, once again, we had the student interviews at Lincoln Tech, and it was great in community involvement, and what a wonderful experience for the students. I believe last year we went through 600 students. I'm guessing it's probably that or more. It's wonderful to see those kids try to present themselves, get instant feedback on what they do, really helps set them up for the future. Also, on the next day, February 24th, the Central Valley Regional Science Bowl competition was held. And again, this year, just like last year, was hosted at Tokay High School. This region goes all the way down to Fresno. So it's a rather large Central Valley area. The competition was, again, awesome. It was great. And I really wanted to throw out some thank yous to Luann Casey for being the coordinator, who is a retired teacher, and for all the staff at Tokay High that allowed us to use their classrooms, and Mr. Sandstrom was very, very helpful in that event. Science Bowl was great. Also, last Saturday at McNair, that was the location of the San Joaquin County Science Olympiad competition for the regionals, and that's for middle schoolers and high schoolers. And it was really nice to have it at McNair, where they have an interior courtyard, because it rained most of the time. We got all of the outside activities done, like bottle rockets and all that kind of stuff, done before the rain came in, but it did come in. The custodial staff, you know, when you've got that many kids there and parents and all their stuff, they again did a phenomenal job. So kudos to the McNair custodial staff for that. Also at the Science Olympiad, it was mentioned earlier with the student report, both Tokay High and Lodi High qualified for state competition, which will be coming in a few weeks. And also, if you wanted to see what Science Olympiad is all about, and you missed the last opportunity, you have another one, which is for elementary Science Olympiad for the county. Again, that'll be hosted at McNair, and that'll be on March 17th. It's 23 different events, so there's kind of an event that fits everybody somewhere in their system. It is so much fun watching those kids, and a lot of times that's a first experience for an elementary school age child to actually showcase something that they made or built. I mean, it's phenomenal. So anyway, again, that's at McNair on March 17th. And thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the board? Okay, Ms. Castle.
I want to say a brief comment about Science Olympiad as well. Felipe and Raj, your schools were both represented there, as we had many Lodi schools there. It was very impressive. My grandson happened to be on the team, and my granddaughter as well. So, and I do want to give a shout out to Ron and Susan Heberly, and the Science Bowl as well. They are the masterminds behind this wonderful science activity of which my grandchildren have certainly benefited. So I want to acknowledge that, Ron. Thank you very, very much. And then I too participated in the Lincoln Tech mock interviews, and I just have to say that it also involves not only the students that are, the high school age, but adults as well. So among the students that I interviewed was a young man who has learned how to take apart our Chromebooks and fix them, and decided that's going to be his career now, is computer technology. But also a 45-year-old Pakistani mother of 4 children who had been in the country for 7 months. And she was there learning English, and she told me with tears in her eyes that she still cannot believe that Lincoln Tech, education in America, as she put it, is free. And in Pakistan, she would never have had the ability to go to a fine school like Lincoln Tech as she is now. So it was it always is a wonderful event. And everyone, have a great 2-week break. Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Collins, I don't think you can talk, eh?
I don't want to turn over that way.
Okay. Well, I hate to beat this stuff in the ground, but it bugs me, and that's some of the cold hard facts about public school funding in California. California is the 6th largest economy in the world, and yet we are 45th in percentage of taxable income spent on education. It's just pathetic. We're 41st in per pupil funding, and I think, as Ms. Neely has mentioned in the past, if we just got came up to average, would be almost $2,000 per student more that we could spend on schools. 45th in pupil-teacher ratio. We got big classes. We have a big school population. All that does not bode well for education, does not bode well for safety, and it's not our fault. This is what happens from the state. I think Mr. Khan always reminds us, on top of all this stuff, the STRS and PERS employer cost is going to go from $497 in the 2013-14 year up to $1,476 by 23-24, with no help coming from the state. What does all that mean? It just means that we have to be very, very careful and not expect to spend lots and lots of money on things that we would probably like to spend it on. So with that, a little more exciting things was Bear Creek. I did attend the semifinal game at Bear Creek very impressed. The crowd was in control, spirited but in control. As an ex-athletic director, I'm looking at different things besides just the game. I was very impressed though with the quality of play that girls were playing basketball. I don't remember being quite that fast, that accurate, that much height jumping, but it was a really good game, and it's too bad they lost in overtime in the final round at UOP. And yeah, you're right about Mr. Johnson. I've been in contact with him quite a bit, and he is doing a really good job. And one of the better things I think is the communication he's had with students and staff, and I would assume parents. So yeah, he's doing a good job. I figure as an ex-track coach, he must be able to do a good job. And one thing we didn't mention, several of the board members was at the Tokay West evaluation meeting. They seem to be very impressed with the staff. They seem to think the staff is pretty professional, and they behave that way. So I assume they probably got a fairly good mark. I don't know what the final outcome was. Do you, Ms. Dr. Washer?
I know preliminarily there was very positive comments by the team about the staff, about the principal, the leadership, and the school in general. We don't have the final report, but absolutely very positive.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, a 4 or whatever they get. Okay, any other comments? Okay, let's move on. Oh, superintendent comments. That was George. Oh, George. Oh, sorry, I forgot about George. Go ahead, George.
It's easy to do, I know. Just want to say that it's kind of interesting. Again, I heard communication as being a problem in our district. I heard it several times and I different things. And I just want to point that out and ask that we continue to strive to have better communications within our district, to think about the impact of what we say on other people and the perception that they have. So I think that's an important thing that we continue to work on communications. And also, Mr. Connector, I want to thank you. You did a great job tonight. I appreciate you taking over for me. And to update, I am in Hutto, Texas. I've been to the Abraham Lincoln Museum in Illinois, the Arch in St. Louis, where my RV was broken into and my computer was stolen. Oh, no. So it's been an interesting trip, but I will be back for the next meeting, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Neely. Okay, anything else before we move on to our final report with Mr. Khan, our technology report? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. I usually don't, but I just want to mention, since safety has been a big topic lately, that our next Lodi Unified Connection session, which is our YouTube communication strategy with staff, is going to be on safety. And we are going to have Leonard Kahn, Mitch Slater, and Jerry Adams there as special guests. So we will get the date. I don't know if it'll be before the next board meeting or not with the break coming up. But we will get that out to all staff on when that will be, and hopefully we'll be able to get an easier access process. So we will be able to have staff give their comments, input, and ask questions about safety.
Notify the board also.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, now Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Vice President Knackstead, members of the board, and Dr. Washa. I'd like to present Edith Holbert, our Director of Information Technology, present a technology status report. I'd also like to thank Edith and her team for putting together a rather unique data presentation.
Very colorful. Very colorful.
I'm still looking at and finding new things that I missed the first 7 times that I went.
Thank you. Good evening, President Neely, board members, and Dr. Washer. It is my pleasure this evening to be able to present to you the latest happenings in the Technology Services Department. But before I get into the details of the presentation, I want to take a moment to make note of that image you see up in the left-hand corner. That is a word cloud. That specific word cloud isn't something that we Googled and pasted into our presentation. That word cloud was developed through a department meeting, a leadership exercise, where all the technology staff members contributed to the why they are here doing what they do day in and day out. And when you do that exercise, the more times a word is put into this word cloud generator, the larger the word gets. So basically what you're looking at is our staff feel that their why of what they are doing is they're here to empower, encourage, and motivate all the Lodi USD staff members, students, just everybody in our community. So I wanted to take a moment to point that out. And these are really our guiding principles in what we do day in and day out, whether it's the 24,000 support calls that we answer within an average 1 minute, 10 seconds, or the communications that we send out through our TSN notices or our TENS notices, which are our notices that let our staff members and students know that we have an emergency situation, the service is down, or you need to be aware of an upcoming piece of information. In addition to the status dashboard that we update to make sure that people know what's going on with the technology services that they're using in their classroom day in and day out. Now, if you look at this slide and you go, wow, that is a busy slide, then it has conveyed the message that we wanted to get across. We do a lot. We're involved in a lot of programs, in the classroom, in the operations, the day-to-day business, just throughout the entire operation of the district. But there are a couple of things I want to point out on this slide to kind of make you go, or wow. In the past, or currently, we have 4 million files in our Google instance for our district. That's 4 million files that students, staff have created since they started using it. But if you look at right underneath there, they've created almost 1 million documents since the start of the school year. That's incredible. And this one is specifically for Mrs. Castle. We've passed our internet connection, 159 terabytes of data in the last month. Now, according to a Google factoid, it takes about 50,000 trees for 1 terabyte of data to be printed out. So if you do the math, we're saying we've saved about 8 million trees a month. And also, our students have logged into Aries to get an update on their grade 3 million times last year alone. Next slide. So when it comes to technology, I like to say there's 3 things that people are really interested in. What are the technology resources that the district has? What do I do when there's a problem? And how do I get more? So I think I've answered kind of in the first 2 slides what they do when there's a problem or what current resources they have. But how do they really get more through the district? What we've done over the last year is we've strived to post all that information online under our technology resource and review process. So on that URL, under the tech resources, staff members are able to find out, what are the district funded resources? What are the district standard devices? How can I order more? What is a self-supported device? So we've posted all that information regarding, the laptops, desktop, Chromebooks, iPads, all of the resources that they need day in and day out, and it's available for them to gather at any time. In addition to more, we have some achievements to come, and I know Mr. Neely is interested in this one, new district websites. That 12/31 date is not for the district website. That is coming in, the next few weeks. But that is to convert all of the school site websites to a new platform. It's called Final Site. It looks really good, and we were speaking of Lincoln Tech earlier, and we've got an amazing video of the students that will be posted on that page actually repairing the Chromebooks. See them unscrewing and taking them apart. It's a fabulous little snippet. We're also working on some other achievements. We're going to be rolling out a new desktop software to hopefully provide a platform that's easier for our customers to submit support requests and to get FAQs and that type of thing, along with some other Jive kind of rollouts at the sites, which I think we'll talk about more at another board meeting. We're also working with the Superintendent's Technology Advisory Committee to develop not so much our tech plan, but our Future Ready Schools plan. And then, as we've mentioned before, we're also talking about the whole one-to-wow and device take-home recommendation in the subcommittee. And none of those things could happen without the incredible team that we have. And there are days that even I'm blown away by the technical skills that many of our members possess, but we can't stay stagnant. We have to continue learning and continue to keep up with the trends. At the beginning of the year, each supervisor sat down with their team and they decided the professional development growth for each staff member for this year. And to date, we're about 28 hours average of training per staff member. So we've got to keep up with the times, and I think we're doing a fabulous job of doing so. Okay. Before I conclude my presentation, I would like to add 2 items that have just recently come to my attention. The first one just came this morning, and I did put a flyer on your chair prior to the meeting. This is, so before I really get into this too much, let me give just a little bit of background history. A couple of years ago, our department went through a process to become a testing center for some of the technology certifications that are prominent throughout the industry. And we have had students from LTA, they're taking their mouse or Microsoft Office specialist courses over at LTA. Then they're coming to our testing center and they are being tested, and if they reach a passing score, then they get a certification. This is a certification they take with them to a job interview, post on their resume, and again, it is an industry recognized certification. Well, I just found out this morning from Gary Graffius over at LTA that there's a national competition for the exam participants, and then they're being ranked statewide. And we have, there's 6 categories, and under 2 of the categories, Lodi Unified students have placed 1st at this point and 3rd in another. And if they are at 1st ranking within the state, then in May they'll be invited to go to the national competition. So that's really awesome. Mr. Graffius is hoping that next week when the rankings come out again in Excel, he just had a student take an exam yesterday and got a 980 out of 1,000 on that exam. So they're expecting to be up in the 1st or 2nd ranking on that one as well. So I mean, these are industry-based certifications, and that's the skills. And when we talk about career ready, these are career ready skills that these students are obtaining. The next last piece of item I want to share is that we've worked hard over the last year to really emphasize California's student data privacy laws and making sure that all of our vendors comply with that. Because of the work that we've done, one of our staff members has been invited to participate basically on the next round or revision of this student data privacy agreement for the entire state of California. So we're really, really pleased with that as well. That concludes my presentation. Thank you. Questions?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Edith. Thank you. This is the first time since I've been a board member that this has been on a screen for me. And I understand all the people that you have working there. You know, you have your operational supervisors, your network system supervisors, and your support service supervisors. And then all the things that you people are doing and what you provide for our students. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was nicely done.
Thank you.
Director Holbert, these slides are being in the legal industry and working with PowerPoint. These are absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like them, and they are fantastic. They're innovative. They are exciting, and that tells me that that is what you're bringing to this department. Thank you for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And for what you're doing for our technology department.
Thank you.
Edith, Michael, could you go back to the first slide? What did you call that? A word cloud?
It's called a word cloud, yes.
I think that is so cool. So these were all just individual responses, but then it ended up where you had so many matches with the larger words.
Yes, it is a tool online, and each employee sat in front of a computer. We talked about it, and as they typed their words, I believe we gave them an opportunity for 3 or 5 words each, and this is what we came up with. We put this together after we viewed a TED Talk, basically starting with the why, a leadership video, and then completed this activity.
And I have to say, just on a very personal note, I was a technological dinosaur. I truly was. Well, Joe will remember.
Yes,
we never even had an electronic school board. We were doing paper.
Yes.
Remember that? And then it's like, oh no, we're going to electronic school board. And people like Michael and our wonderful pod too, you have no idea how it was to train some of us. I'm one of them. And then how many times I would have to call in and say, my password has expired again. And then your crew is always kind and generous, and this is a reflection of that, what you've put together here. I mean, you're just doing such good things for our children, which I'm so pleased, and even me, I'm not as much of a dinosaur any longer, so thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Yeah, I will also mention that every time I have stood in that window or have called, the professionalism has been outstanding. Never made to feel stupid. They really do a pretty good job. So I appreciate that.
Excellent, thank you. I'll make sure I share that.
I just have to say.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I just want to say, you have just done a fantastic job as a director of the technical department. What you guys have put together there is just amazing. The size of the network, both physically and as far as number of users and the amount of use, and to keep it going like you guys do is just incredible. Now you're working on the website, you're working on the one to wow, being able to take computers home with them. There's so much going on. I think that the technology department is probably one of the most underappreciated and under-celebrated areas of Lodi Unified. So I want to thank you for everything you've done. It's been interesting to watch the technology at Lodi Unified change over the years that I've been associated with the district. When I first got here, I could see it was next to nothing. And then you guys have really put it together. And I also want to compliment Mr. Khan. He is an excellent addition to this whole process. He's quite the techie. I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but he's quite the techie and the supporter of our efforts on this. So thank you for that as well, Mr. Khan.
George, he has 2 telephones and 2 laptops right now.
He's playing solitaire.
Mr.
Headley.
Yeah, I
really a video camera against himself.
Every time we talk about technology, I remember my first contact. I had just gotten on the board and I was having a hard time getting into Citrix. So I called in and I said, can I just come in? Oh, sure. And I walked in and I had my computer in my arm and they said, oh, is that your computer?
It's an anchor, yeah.
Well, I, of course, bought a new one. But you guys are very kind and very patient. But, I did, now to today, I just wanted to tell you, I agree with George that technology a lot of times is one of those support services that a lot of people don't really recognize all there is. I certainly didn't, and I still kind of wouldn't guess all the things that you do. And when we first got on the board, it was very difficult for teachers to use the technology that they were told to use, like entering grades and those kinds of things. Now, is it foolproof? I don't know, probably not. However, it has made leaps and bounds, and talking to some of the teachers, you know, when the kids get in their Google Docs and they create a little mini PowerPoint or something like that, really engaging for the kids. And that is their world. These things are not mine. I'm trying, but they're not. But that's what they see. That's their focus of how things, doesn't matter what field you're in, you're going to use a computer, and you have to understand it, not just manipulate it. So I think your department has come a long way to help with that, and hopefully we can just keep our system more and more robust for the users. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Comments?
I always love when board members talk twice, especially before the end of the meeting. But I want to piggyback on what my colleagues have said. The biggest change that I see, and I greatly appreciate, is the can-do spirit. And it really was resonating in me. And then I look at your word cloud, the biggest word out there is empower, which is can-do and not can't. So thank you very much for that also.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That it? All right.
Wait,
Do we have any?
Does
Oh.
the public get to say anything?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sorry, real quick.
Okay.
Just Edith, just tell them thank you very much. Every time I call, they make me feel good and smart. Treasure Wilton.
I agree. I agree.
I'm going to call her tomorrow.
Okay. Is there any board advisory committee reports? No. No closed session. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So good.
We're out of here. George, it's 9:40. How's that?
I appreciate that. I was looking forward to hear.
Good night, George. Good night, George.
Good night, guys.
Take care.
Bye, Dawn.